What is nonverbal communication? Does anyone know? What's nonverbal communication?
Communication of the body.
Communication of the body. Anyone else? Body language. Yep. Great one. Yeah.
Facial expression.
Facial expression. It's really good. Anyone else? Yeah, in the back over here.
Eye contact.
Eye contact. Yes. I've spent a lot of time studying communication, especially nonverbal, especially man-to-woman communication. Very important. The nonverbal communication in that process. So today, especially on stage, and when you're speaking in front of others, it can convey certain things. So nonverbal communication will definitely impact you as a yoga instructor. What it can do is it can build trust, build connection, and comfortability. So one of the keys, and this is very key whether it's you're in yoga or you're in your day-to-day, is your posture, okay? So I want to show you 2 different postures. Tell me how you feel, okay? So here's the first one. How do you feel about me? And it's okay, you can be honest. Yeah, exactly, right? That's a good way. You did a nonverbal communication. But I know what that means, you know? I studied women communication. Well, some guys might not know what that means. But this, right? What do you feel by me right now?
Or not interested in
Right?
you.
Not interested in me, right? Imagine if I came up like this. It's like, okay guys, now let's get started. And now, how do you feel about me?
Macho.
Yeah, I know. I'm exaggerating. I am
I'm from
exaggerating.
Europe, sorry.
Right. Yeah, no, that's good.
Crazy.
We're here to have fun today, by the way. It's not like a serious thing here. But yeah, this portrays confidence, right? What you'll often do, I'll give you a quick tip. When you're communicating, study where your shoulders are, okay? What you'll often find, I hope that you feel safe when I ask you these things, and I know that even by me asking you this, it's gonna cause it in you, but does anyone have anxiety or feel, you don't have to, you don't even have to put your hand up. You can just acknowledge me energetically. Because I know even that question brings up a lot, right? What you'll often see is with anxiety, the chest starts to cave in, right? The shoulders start to cave in. So I remember in networking events, especially when I was networking and also going up and communicating with people that I was intimidated by, I'm very present to where my shoulders are. So what I'll naturally see is I'll naturally start to cave in, and which means, yeah, there's a psychological technical term to that, but basically I always practice bringing my shoulders back. Now, not like, you know, I'm not doing this, but it's so subtle where you feel your shoulders go. So really important, even when you're up here today, just notice where, because your shoulders will want to curl in like this. It's because you're in your super center right here. This is where we're communicating in, which we'll get in the second half of today. But what can happen is you feel too much. It's too much for the body, so then the body starts to cave in. So posture is really important. Another key thing with posture is you want to be mindful of where you are on the stage so that you can speak to everyone. But I can remember when I first started speaking, I knew that you had to use the stage, but I got so nervous that I would just do this. And it would help me express myself. I remember watching myself back on camera. I'm like, wow, I gotta slow down, but it's like, this is how I think, right? Because I knew you had to do stage presence, but something you want to be mindful of is not pacing back and forth, being intentional with your movement, and pausing when you're making a point. So really key. Now this stuff's gonna happen today, by the way. I'm just giving you a way, okay? But what you want to be mindful is also use the stage, but be mindful, like if you're up in class, and you know, I imagine I've been to a lot of yoga classes as well. You know, you're walking like this, right? And you're guiding the class, but then also allowing yourself to land and be with your student. And then moving around more intentionally, right? What can happen is you can just do this out of nerves. And it may happen. So posture is really important. Secondly, eye contact. Eye contact is very, very, very important. These are the gateway to the soul. This is how we share energy with each other. So ideally, if you can, you share your kind eyes. You share a kind eye with your audience or with your yoga students. Because the eyes build connection. And again, what you'll notice when you come up here is you'll probably feel a little intimidated by the eyes. And there's a reason for that, okay? There's actually science. It's actually backed into science. Here's the reason why. Human beings, we have what's called predator eyes. We have predator eyes. Reptiles and mammals have mammalian eyes. Their eyes are on the side, right? Right? Their eyes are on the side. All predators have their eyes in the front. So we're right now, back in tribal times, if we weren't good with each other, we're a threat to each other. So our brain developed a mechanism that when we see eyes in front, it means danger. So back in the day, we could have basically killed each other. And out in the wild, where there's a saber-toothed tiger or whatever had a threat, a predator, it would have eyes in the front like this. So this is why in marketing, eyes are so important. They're so magnetic, and they're your tool up here on stage. So if you can, use them, but it'll take practice. So what you want to do when you're teaching is you want to scan the room, and ideally what you can do is when you're making a point, you start to sync with someone's eyes. And you maybe stare your eye contact for about 3 to 5 seconds. And naturally, you're going to gravitate to certain eyes that you feel more comfortable due to your energetic frequency. Each person has a certain vibe, and you're naturally going to gravitate to someone with a certain vibe. And you may feel that, and that's okay. But ideally, you want to share your eye contact with as many people as possible. Key. Yeah. I'm working on this one as well. When you invite everyone to close your eyes, right? You don't have to do it, but this is what I did, right? Can you get everyone to close your eyes? What you want to do is you want to make sure your eyes are open, actually. And I did this a lot at the beginning. I get everyone to close your eyes, and then I would just close my eyes with them. But here's the thing with this. If someone's passing out or someone's having something going on and your eyes are closed, you can't be present with them. Very important when you're doing Shavasana and yoga poses with your students. You want to make sure what's going on with them, right? So if everyone's closing their eyes, you just want to be able to scan the room to be sure that everything's okay, right? So if you're in here with them, which may help you get into that space, it does for me, but we just want to be in tune with our audience. So really important. This is pretty simple. Hand gestures are an extension of our expression. Ideally, when you're making a point, you want to be intentional with your hand gesture if you can. I'd also invite you to find your own hand gestures, because they're an expression of you. So if you're maybe a bit more feminine, or however that looks, I don't know, but you can decide on that, however you want to express yourself, you know? Right, you can. I don't know what it looks like, right? I actually train women on how to express themselves, though, which is a fun thing to do. We just explore together. But I often find sometimes people, especially sometimes women in our trainings, they model me, which makes sense. But then when we do the more detailed work, I'm like, okay, we got to find your own zone here, because like you're communicating very masculine right now, which is okay. But is that what you want? It's like, no, she wants, some of our clients, they want to work on a more feminine approach to express themselves. So then finding your own hand gestures. But what you can do is you start to build awareness, and you can start syncing hand gestures with the sentences that you use. So you start to be rhythmic with your expression. Number 4. Facial expressions. You know, you want to have an elastic face. You want to be able to have the range, and how you do this is through training. So when we do training today, we're going to work on face gymnastics. Oftentimes, anxiety gets stuck in our face. It gets stuck in here, and we don't have access or range to our face. And we think that we can only make those faces to our little puppy or babies, right? But we actually want to go into the depths of our face. We're doing all this yoga poses for our body, right? But we want to loosen the face too, right? Because it's actually a part of the energy, where the energy can get stuck. So facial expressions can help when you're making a point as well. So remember this, 93% of communication is nonverbal. This has, again, been studied, but 93% is nonverbal. okay? And what I've been discovering and been taught, a lot of that comes down to energetics. A lot of that comes down to energetics. So we may think it's actually body language, but the body language is an expression of your thought. And the thought is energy vibrating at different frequencies. I'll say that again. I don't know if you're paying attention to this. Are you alive? Your thoughts are really energy vibrating at different frequencies. Your thoughts are energy vibrating at different frequencies. Let's see if you get that. Really important though. So then that allows you to express yourself, right? And again, like I said, I'm keep going to that second half of the day because that's where the true power is and what we're going to offer you is the energetics of all of this. So really powerful. Okay, quickly, any questions on nonverbal communication? Any questions? Yeah, over here.
I don't know if you're going to go into this afterwards, but
Yep.
like, you know how not with hand gestures, like there's certain things you can do like that or like that. Do you recommend doing that? Because now that sometimes I'm unconscious to it, I think it's kind of fake, you know what I'm saying? So I'm just curious whether you actually advise using it or
Great question. So the question is, what should I do if I'm doing these hand gestures? It kind of feels non-intentional, it kind of feels fake, and it feels like an expression of myself. Really great question. Up to you. Everything today is just a consideration. You all have your perspective and your lens, and what you receive and what you feel is clear communication. With that being said, I never used to use this. I never expressed myself like this. I never expressed myself like this. But what I found is that my mentor, who's a very influential person, actually gets paid $1 million on stage to do this. When he's on camera or when he's on stage, you essentially step into a certain archetype, right? We have different archetypes that we become. Maybe you're a mom, maybe you're a sister, maybe you're a brother, maybe you're a dad, maybe you're a leader, maybe you're a boyfriend, maybe you're a girlfriend, maybe you're a husband, maybe you're a wife. Maybe you're the facilitator, right? You're gonna start to acquire an identity or an archetype, right? You're gonna find your style as a yoga teacher. So you're gonna step into that. Matthew Muskeen, the facilitator, and on social media, uses this hand gesture. Did he use that before? No. Is it authentic to my expression? Yeah, you know why I do this hand gesture? Helps me think. Helps me think. And you know this pose within yoga, right? When you're meditating, it's calming. So I found through expression and practice that this helps me think. Great question. One more question? Yeah, over here.
So it's about the facial expression. Normally would like to get involved or like, you know, you're trying to express, for instance, like, oh, it's a great practice, you'll be smiling. How can you how can you make that smile authentic? Because for me, it creeps me out when people are just talking to me with a weird smile all the time. So how do you, how can you express something or sell something or explain something, trying to promote or instruct or whatever it is, the intention behind it is, but still keep it authentic to yourself?
Okay, great question. So your question is, how do you convey a smile or a facial expression when you want to be authentic to yourself, but then actually still be like light and what it's not? It's kind of similar to the hand question. Great question. This is where this comes into the practice beforehand. What you do beforehand. Okay? This is what you do beforehand. If I'm talking to you about my service or what I'm talking about, I'm getting super serious and I get that. There's this thing called mirroring. Your audience or your students will mirror you. If you're frowning, if you're doing this, right? Maybe you are a serious person. This is where face gymnastics come into play. You want to loosen the face. You want to be able to be loose in the face. But ideally, it creates that in people, right? When do we see someone do this, right? We don't. But you want to have access to your face like that. The reason why is so that you can be light. So when you're talking about your product or service or when you're guiding people, the key is in how you think about it. The key is in how you think about it. Because again, all of this is an expression of this. So if we get our thinking in alignment about our product or service or what we're providing, then that will guide our expression. I will say that again. We can get our thinking into alignment with our product or service or what we're providing, then the expression will come through. So that's key. This is some ninja stuff. This is ninja. So you're like, you know, being intentional with how you set everything up, the whole room, how you set up the entire experience will dictate how the people will receive your experience. So it's really important as you're giving your yoga experience to really think about the transformation you might create in the room, or their heart centers, or being kind, compassionate. That's why I said kindness and compassion. So then that will guide my voice for the whole entire evening or today. That will guide my energy. So how you think about whatever you're providing will guide your expression, especially nonverbal. And that's why, again, when we get to the second half today, it doesn't really matter about all this stuff. This stuff is technical, which is really important as well. But really, it will start to naturally just express yourself once you open up your energy field. Once that happens, then it all just starts to come together.